Hello everyone and welcome to this training on the Competency-Based Educational Approach, or CBE. CBE is often seen as a buzzword in the world of education, but we will examine it in depth, particularly in the context of developing countries. Although many institutions claim to apply CBE, in many cases it remains superficial, and they fall back on more familiar traditional practices. We will also discuss the challenges that sometimes make it difficult to actually implement this approach and see why it can seem complex to apply in certain environments. So, let's start with the definition of the CBE. It is important to note that there are several definitions of the competency-based approach, depending on the context and theorists. According to Jacques Tardif, the CBE is the ability to act effectively in a family of situations by mobilizing a set of relevant resources. Tardif, 2006. For Le Boterf, 1994, a competent person knows how to combine and mobilize a set of relevant resources to accomplish a professional task. CBE is therefore a pedagogical approach that focuses on developing learners' practical skills. Unlike traditional approaches, which focus on the accumulation of theoretical knowledge, CBE prepares learners for real professional situations, making them able to mobilize these skills in concrete contexts. It is clear that CBE is crucial to transforming technical and vocational education in the current context, particularly in developing countries. CBE has become more than just a buzzword in education. It is essential to address the challenges posed by digital and green transitions, as well as the increasing demands of the labor market, especially in developing economies. This approach aims to bridge the gap between education and the labor market by focusing on the development of practical skills, which allows learners to acquire transferable skills that are relevant to current professional realities. However, while CBE is widely advocated, its actual adoption often remains limited to nominal use. Many institutions claim to follow CBE, but continue to gravitate towards traditional, more familiar pedagogical practices that emphasize the memorization of knowledge rather than its practical application. This is particularly problematic in contexts where education systems still fail to prepare young people for the world of work. The CBE is important for 1. Alignment with real labor market needs. The CBE prepares learners to meet the real-world demands of employers. By focusing on practical and immediately applicable skills, individuals become operational as soon as they enter the labor market. This facilitates their professional integration and allows them to adapt more quickly to technological and industrial developments. 2. Improving employability and quality of life. By developing skills directly linked to specific occupations, the CBE enables young people to land stable and better paid jobs. This gives them the opportunity to improve not only their own quality of life, but also that of their families, thus contributing to their long-term economic security. The CBE prepares young people not only for employment, but also to be agents of change in transitional economies. But to achieve this goal, it is necessary to fundamentally review how education is delivered and ensure that CBE does not remain just a concept in theory, but a reality in daily educational practice. 3. Adaptability to the challenges of digital and sustainable economies. CBE prepares learners to evolve in sectors undergoing rapid transformation, such as digital and green economies. By integrating skills related to the mastery of modern technologies and sustainable practices, CBE allows individuals to remain competitive and relevant in a constantly changing job market. It also contributes to training a workforce capable of responding to environmental challenges and technological innovations, thus ensuring better preparation for the jobs of tomorrow. What are the benefits of CBE in these contexts? The benefits of the competency-based approach in technical and vocational education and training, TVET, are numerous, especially in developing countries where local needs and labor market requirements vary greatly. Flexibility and adaptation to local needs. One of the main advantages of CBE is its flexibility, which allows educational programs to be adapted to local contexts. This means that the skills taught can be directly linked to the economic and social requirements of the region concerned. CBE encourages institutions to design curricula that reflect local labor market realities and meet the specific needs of communities. This approach allows for customizing learning content to local economic needs and adapting to employment opportunities in different regions. The CBE also encourages active learning, where learners play a central role in their own education. Unlike traditional teaching methods, the CBE focuses on practical activities that allow learners to directly engage in situations similar to those they will encounter in their careers. Active learning helps to enhance students' motivation and engagement by placing them in situations where they have to solve real-world problems, which promotes the acquisition of transferable skills. This learning by doing is crucial in developing countries, where education systems must bridge an often significant gap between the theory taught in the classroom and the real demands of the job market. In CBE, teachers are no longer just transmitters of knowledge, but play the role of coaches and facilitators. They guide learners in the acquisition of specific skills and help them mobilize them in real-life situations. Teachers in CBE must adopt a mentoring role, promoting self-learning and the ability of learners to adapt their skills to different professional contexts. This also implies a differentiated approach, where trainers adjust their teaching method according to the level of competence and individual needs of learners. CBE has considerable advantages for education systems in developing countries by offering greater flexibility and adapting to local realities. It emphasizes active learning and learner engagement while repositioning teachers as facilitators. This approach helps to better prepare young people to meet the challenges of the labor market by providing them with the practical skills needed to succeed. Let's now move on to the differences between the traditional approach and the competency-based educational approach, as they are based on very different pedagogical foundations. Traditional approach versus competency-based approach. In the traditional approach, the emphasis is often placed on the accumulation of theoretical knowledge. Students passively receive information that they must memorize, without necessarily understanding how this knowledge is transposed into concrete situations. This model, which is widespread in educational systems, does not always promote the development of practical skills needed to enter the job market, especially in technical sectors such as construction. CBE, on the other hand, is distinguished by its anchoring in practice. Each skill taught must be contextualized and applied in real situations. This means that learners do not just acquire theoretical knowledge, but must demonstrate their ability to use this knowledge in a professional environment. Let's take the example of a construction course. It is not enough to explain the concepts related to safety or site management. It is essential to put these skills into practice on a real or simulated site. Comparative analysis. Traditional approach. Advantages: simplicity of implementation, clear and linear structure, easy to administer standardized assessment. Disadvantages: does not sufficiently prepare learners for the reality of the job market, lack of practical application of knowledge, learning often disconnected from the concrete needs of the industry. Competency-based approach. Advantages: better prepares learners for the challenges of the professional world. Development of transferable skills that can be adapted to various contexts. Learner-centered and more engaging learning. Disadvantages: more complex to implement and requires individualized monitoring of learners, requires more resources for practical activities and ongoing assessments. The main difference between these two approaches lies in the emphasis placed by the CBE on the acquisition of transferable skills that can be immediately mobilized in professional contexts. This approach not only allows learners to understand how to apply their knowledge, but also makes them more autonomous and operational upon entering the job market. What are the key competencies to teach in TVET? When teaching TVET with the competency-based approach, it is crucial to understand the three types of knowledge that you will need to integrate into your courses. These three dimensions of learning ensure that learners are well-rounded and well-prepared for the world of work. 1. Knowledge. Knowledge is the theoretical knowledge that your learners need to master. This includes the concepts, principles, and essential information related to their field of study. For example, in a construction program, this includes knowledge about materials, safety rules, or construction techniques. 2. Know-how. Know-how concerns practical skills, i.e., the ability of your learners to apply the knowledge acquired in real-world situations. This includes handling tools, performing technical tasks, and solving problems in the field. For example, an electrical learner must not only know about electrical circuits, knowledge, but also know how to install them correctly. Know-how. 3. Soft skills. Finally, soft skills encompass the professional attitudes and behaviors expected in a work environment. This includes punctuality, communication, teamwork, and compliance with safety standards and regulations. Soft skills are essential to ensure that your learners are not only doing well technically, but also adopting the professional attitudes needed to progress in their profession. In summary, the competency-based approach represents a fundamental change in the way we think about education and training, particularly in technical and vocational education, TVET contexts. Unlike the traditional approach, which focuses on the memorization of knowledge, CBE aims to prepare learners for real-world professional situations by allowing them to develop practical, transferable skills that are adapted to the demands of the labor market. This flexible approach also allows programs to be adjusted to local economic and social realities, thus providing better integration of learners into the labor market. However, despite its advantages, CBE is often poorly implemented. Many institutions continue to rely on traditional methods, limiting the effectiveness of this innovative approach. It is therefore essential that teachers, as coaches and facilitators, fully appropriate the principles of CBE and integrate them into their teaching practices. This will allow them to help learners mobilize not only theoretical knowledge, but also know-how and interpersonal skills in concrete contexts. In the next capsules, we will delve deeper into these notions and offer you concrete strategies for teaching effectively in TVET, taking into account the 3 dimensions of knowledge. Together, we will explore how the CBE can transform your courses and better prepare your learners to succeed in their professional careers. Thank you for your attention, and see you soon for the rest.